Stage 5, further north in the Atacama Desert from Copiapo over to Antofagasta. What a disastrous day it was for Mark Comer. A rear wheel puncture, his tyre had been slashed by one of the sharp rocks, and surely this was his Dakar victory slipping through his hands. David Casteau, the victor and overall leader, was also flying through the stage, but unfortunately it was a little too fast. He fell terribly off his 450 Sherco and he had terrible leg injuries. I was in the dust of Chaleco and there was a rock in the way. I went straight over the top, a proper rally raid crash. The Dakar for me is now over. Sil Dupre was continuing to lead overall, a healthy 37-minute advantage now that Castello had crashed. Was he beginning to think of his third Dakar victory? He had plenty of time to think about it. Francisco Lopez, though, won the stage into Antofagasta, home ground for the Chilean, and more importantly, the first win for the all-new 450cc Aprilia. Problems for the leader of the cars. Only the day before he was winning the stage to lead overall, and with a 7.5-minute lead, Stefan Pederhansel, well, he was losing it. A terrible noise clattering underneath the car, not far into the stage, out of Copiapo, and his rally was being turned on its head. The prop shaft being turned like a piece of caramel.
Problème de transmission.
It's a transmission problem. The prop shaft has broken with a terrible noise. At the moment, we now have no rear drive, so Jean-Paul and I, we're going to remove the broken parts and continue, try as we may, with front-wheel drive only. It's going to be very complicated. By the time the truck arrived with replacement parts, Pederhansel had lost 2 hours and 14 minutes and dropped from the lead to 10th.
Fork left off this road, left fork coming up here, and in 200 double caution, we've got to turn 90 left through a ditch over a river. Yeah, 90 left, yeah. Caution, caution, 90 left, double caution, and then 90 right, off track.
Mark Miller has ridden in Rally Raid, driven in Pikes Peak, driven in the Baja 500 and 1000, and now it finally came to him. He had won his first Dakar stage. After the demise of Stefan Pederhansel at the front of the order, it was now down to Carlos Sainz to take up the lead of the rally. So close to winning in 2009, only to lose it 3 days from the finish, the Spaniard now held a 4.5-minute advantage at the top of the table. Stage 6 from Antofagasta to Iquique. Francisco Lopez was in his home country. The vibe of all the Chilean fans willing him on with his Aprilia. He was best of the rest after Dupre and Comer. Helder Rodriguez had all the threes going for him on the most northerly point of the rally. Third on the stage, third overall. Palander's Oliver Seta had a torrid start to the rally, but the Norwegian Viking got into the groove and was fifth, not a million miles away from fourth. The heroes on the quads made it through the desert. The darlings of the Argentine fans, the Patronelli brothers, leading their class. Marcus was leading, his younger brother Alejandro in second a couple of hours back. A family 1-2 in Buenos Aires, That'll be a party. Carlos Sousa had a last-minute deal to drive in the rally. Jumping back into a Mitsubishi, he was beaten by his teammate Nicolas Mislan on the stage, but had quietly risen to fourth in the overall standings. More than impressive. Leonard Novinsky was in his second Dakar and holding his own, the Russian making it 3 BMWs inside the top 10. Robbie Gordon was holding his own when he could, but tyre problems meant he lost time in the dunes. He was a frustrated 17th on the day. Difficult June started the day of the longest stage of the rally, 600 kilometres. And to start the day, a killer 50 kilometres of dunes, giving people a nightmare, only just after the sun had come up. Problems for Lopez. He got lost in the dunes and then he had a broken chain. He was struggling at times to even crest the smallest of dunes. Look how soft the sand was. The difference between the restricted 690s and the 450s was still there. Mark Comer managing to pass Helder Rodriguez's Yamaha, Rodriguez taking more than a double take as Comer sped away into the distance. Comer wasn't quite able to catch the prey on the stage, just 29 seconds between them. Alain Declos getting back on a Rally Raid bike for 2010, and he was up to 6th overall, more than impressive. So overall it was Dupre leading Mark Comer by just over an hour, Rodriguez in 3rd, Oliver Alceta 4th, Lopez now 5th. Alain Declos 6th from Fretenier, Jonas Street for America, Garcia and Palicia in 10th. Robbie Gordon made up time from a 14th starting position. He flew through, passing people early. But alternator problems further on hampered the fans' favourite. Eventually, he lost 2.5 hours. His overall victory will have to wait for another year. But stage victories, well, they would certainly be inside the second week. On board with Guillaume Spinelli, the Brazilian in his Mitsubishi Lancer, he was also backing up his teammate Sousa. He was 8th overall. Former WRC driver Christoph Holovic drove steadily in his Nissan, and he was up to 6th as a privateer. Russia's Leonard Novinsky and German co-driver Andreas Schulz were delayed halfway through the stage with their BMW. They were running 7th through the stage and again easily and comfortably inside the top 10 as they came into Antofagasta. It was a tense Volkswagen 1-2-3 at the top of the order. El Matador Carlos Sainz held court at the top, but his lead was a fragile 11 minutes as they came into the rest day. Nasser Al-Attiyah unleashed his speed on the stage. He said it was a lot down to his mental attitude behind the wheel. Eventually, it was his 6th Dakar stage victory, and it edged him a little closer to that overall lead. Things were getting nicely poised. Stefan Pederhansel opened the road, leading the way, and he leapt up to 5th in the overall standings. Amazing, considering he lost 2.25 hours earlier in the week with that broken prop shaft. Gerland Schischerit, his teammate, was only a couple of minutes ahead. How much higher could he be than 4th were it not for his electrical problems on the first stage? For others, like Stefan Orard, the dunes were going to hurt on the longest day. Organisers gave crews 2 days to do the stage, and people were going to need it. Carlos Sainz leading at the halfway point with an 11-minute advantage over Al-Attiyah and then Miller. Schischerit and Pederhansel with the BMWs chasing the Volkswagens. Holovic from Sousa and Spinelli, Nowitzki and then Robbie Gordon rounding out the top 10. the truck class, the reigning champion, Kabirov, was losing out to his teammate Vladimir Shigin in the Kamaz. The difference between them, just over an hour. The GNAF of Van Vliet, the Dutchman, was chasing them, but he was third, 5 hours behind. So the rest day was reached. 7 stages gone, 7 to go before a return to Buenos Aires.